Shalom, Kahalo Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, Bashim Kakodash, the honors to the elder apostles and the elder bishops of GMS, including the elders that came before them that taught us his truth. The Shalom and salutations to all the brothers out pushing the word of truth and in sincerity. The hopeful elect tabernacle of David. I'm the brother Yahshua. I'm back with the WW3 Daily update. Today is Monday, and so I'm going to try to keep it succinct, whatever that means. Start with Ezekiel 38. We're watching this go down right now. Okay, and 38:1, and the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against him, and say, Thus saith the Lord power, behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and here's the point, and I will turn thee back, and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth, and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. We'll stop right there before they get into these other allies. But basically what this is saying is that the Most High, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, is going to put the spirit of the old Soviet Union on Russia. Okay? Most High is controlling Russia, and going back since the demise or the division of the Soviet Union, if you will, this guy Vladimir Putin has basically been brought in to reestablish that. Okay, and who brought him in? The Most High brought him in. I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws. I'm going to turn you around back to, the way that it used to be, right? And uh, uh, all of the so-called countries that belong to the USSR, I'm going to turn them back as well. I'm going to form you guys back up, right, to fight a larger war, which is World War III. Okay, and we're watching that right now. We're watching Vlad go into Ukraine and say, Ukraine belongs to the USSR. And all of these surrounding countries, right, in the late 90s, okay, you had the Milosevic and the whole thing going on over there. That was after Soviet Union fell. Then them fools was running amok. You had the U.S. go in and setting up puppet dictatorships and destabilizing the whole region, and that's what we're looking at now. This is what happened in the Ukraine. Now it's time to clean that thing up and turn it around and bring it back. That's what the Most High is doing. All right, to send Vlad and the newly reformed USSR against Babylon the Great, which is America. All right, this is what we're watching. Because eventually all of those nations are going to turn on the USA. Let me see. Get this real quick. Okay. Let's get. There's another one that I want to make. I'll get it. Let's get this first, okay? Isaiah 13:17. Behold, I will stir up the Medes against them, which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it. So the Medes are the Russians, okay? And the Most High is stirring them up, and we're seeing the effects of that. So we're going to watch this, the Duran channel, and this guy is going to allow this guy to bloviate, and it's going to drone on, but what he's doing is he's explaining pretty much what we just read in Ezekiel 38, okay? And he's gonna go into Serbia, right? And that whole thing that went on in the late 90s, the whole Balkan situation. Basically, it's they're going to come against each other first, but eventually Vlad has the strongest hand. The Most High raised him up, just like Pharaoh. The Most High raised up Pharaoh, right, and gave him that power. Well, right now, the Most High has given Vlad that power. So anybody that thinks that Russia can be easily dealt with, you don't understand that it's the Most High that raised him up. Okay? Right here. I will stir up. Who is I? That's the Most High is dealing with Vlad and Russia. Okay? He's stirring them up. Okay, so who can be against Vlad? Right? Vlad's got a job to do. He's going to do it. Now they're going to, I'm going to let this play for a little while, and this will be the update. And what we're going to see is basically a musical chairs situation going on in the old Soviet Union until Vlad strong arms everybody and gets them back in order. That's what this is.
All right, Alexander, let's do a video on what is going on in Kosovo, Metohija, and it looks like a conflict is being stirred up.
Interesting choice of words. Is being stirred up. Okay, and they're not bringing out the scriptures. They're just talking. Okay, but the Most High is the one doing the stirring up. When it says, I will put hooks in thy jaws, that means I'm going to bring you back. Bring you back to what? That old Soviet Union spirit. Okay? It might take a little fighting amongst you, like Ukraine against Russia, which is ridiculous, when it's really NATO and the EU. All right? But the USSR is coming back by way of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. He's bringing them back. So who can be against it?
And it comes at a very interesting time because you have a lot of EU officials and even EU parliaments, including the Parliament of the Netherlands, which are very upset with Serbia because they refuse to place sanctions on Russia.
Okay, so that right there is Serbia saying, well, we're not we got dealings with them. That's our people. Okay. And this is what the West, right, quotes, the West does. They send their little minions in there to destabilize and then to get the people on their side to further, they want to go in and break Russia apart and divide it up. Okay, on some Africa shit. So anyway, that's how they do it. This is what they did in Ukraine, right? And that's what sparked whatever happened last February. Is the result of them going in 2010? 2010 through 2013, and then staging a coup and putting in their puppet government, which is the Zelensky fool. Right, and we're watching that. We're watching Vlad raise up and slap that shit down, put everybody back in order.
This is true, actually. The parliament in the Netherlands actually passed, or they voted. They're going to vote on, or they've passed. I'm going to pull up the story right now. The lower house of the Dutch parliament passed a resolution calling for the European Commission to be given the power to punish Serbia for refusing to join European Union sanctions against Russia. Why do I say this? What does this have to do with Kosovo and Metohija? Well, I think a lot, actually. And I think they're putting Serbia in a very difficult situation. And all Serbia is doing is following the 1244 UN resolution. And they are following it, it seems, by the letter, but not good enough for the powers that be.
Well, let's just unpack what you've just said. I think that you've actually identified the whole cause of this entire crisis. Serbia refuses to impose sanctions on Russia. It is politically impossible for the Serbian government, this existing Serbian government, President Vucic's government, to impose sanctions on Russia. Serbian public opinion is strongly against this. So, of course, what you see in response is a concerted attempt by the European authorities, the Western authorities, the NATO authorities, to pressure Serbia, to bully Serbia into submission. In other words, sanctions, imposing sanctions on another country is no longer the sovereign right of a particular country. It is something that the European Union, the NATO powers, will oblige a particular country to do. So if country A doesn't want to impose sanctions on country B, well, if the US, the EU, the Dutch Parliament, those sort of people think that country A should impose sanctions on country B, then they will put enormous pressure on country A to impose sanctions on country B. It shows you how expansive this doctrine of sanctions is becoming, how it's essentially a kind of sanctions imperialism now. You know, you either join us or we come after you. Because the situation with Serbia and Kosovo is never fully stable. There's always tensions. Serbia doesn't and cannot recognize Kosovo's independence. Serbian public opinion overwhelmingly opposes that. President Vucic's government would certainly not survive if he were to take such a step, or at least such a step in that kind of straightforward way. Nor can the government of Serbia simply abandon the Serb population in Kosovo, which is a population that has been there for centuries. It's a center of Serbian culture. You can't abandon them either. So you have a situation where clearly this crisis has now been manufactured. You've got the Kosovo authorities being given the green light to impose their
Do not buy generic.
Slovakia commercial. Play a little bit more of this and we'll go ahead and close.
their authority on the Serb population in Kosovo. This, of course, directly violates UN Security Council resolutions, but then who remembers those? After all, the UN Security Council, after the end of the Yugoslav bombing war in 1999, reaffirmed that Kosovo remains a province of a region within Serbia, but of course that was, contradicted. It was set aside by the Bush administration when they decided to treat Kosovo as an independent state, recognize Kosovo as an independent state. The Serb government continues to cling to that legality. It is exercising its legal right to send people, troops, security forces into Kosovo to defend the Serb population there. But of course, in the kind of situation we now have, we are looking at a crisis in the Balkans. We're looking at an attempt essentially to create a crisis with Serbia. And of course, the intention ultimately is to change the government of Serbia, or at least to force it into alignment with Western policies.
To change the government, to stage a coup and place in a puppet government that agrees with the Western power. This is standard. I'm going to play a little bit more. He's going to wrap it up.
Over Russia. This has been a long-standing project, by the way. It's been going on long before the crisis in Ukraine. We've seen how the Western powers have been trying to put pressure on Serbia, well, for much more than a decade. How they've been whittling away Serb influence in places like Montenegro, how they've been trying to isolate Serbia in the region, and of course now they're trying to go for Serbia itself. The risk they run is that they will start a war in the Balkans, which could spiral out of control. So you would have another war in the Balkans, in Europe, alongside the even bigger war we've got in Ukraine. And I have to say this, I suspect that if there was a war, the Western powers would discover that Serbia was a much tougher proposition to deal with than they imagine. But when did the neocons who run policy in Washington and Brussels ever show any capacity to see that? When have they ever shown a willingness to put their gears into reverse?
Yeah, on the 15th of December, the Pristina authorities, they are asking to become a candidate country of the European Union under the name of Republic of Kosovo. Of course, you have 5 countries which don't even recognize that such a country exists: Greece, Cyprus, Romania, Spain, of course, Spain, and Slovakia. So I think that's the tell. That application to become an EU country, to me, signals that what this is all about is a way for Europe to, for NATO and Europe to create this second front that they've been trying to create in this conflict with Russia. And it seems like they've settled on Kosovo and Metohija. That's going to be the region where they're hoping they can create a second front, or they're hoping they can distract Russia. They can put pressure on Serbia to switch sides, which would be a blow to Russia as well, because you break apart these allies. They've got all of these ideas in their head as to how to deal with the Serbs and the Russians.
All right, good enough. So you see what the West, what their intentions are. What the hell is America doing over in Europe, encroaching on Russia? On Russia, that would be like Russia in Mexico right now on the border, which is wide open, getting ready to roll in. Okay. What is America doing over there? Okay. Well, World War III is about to jump off. Well, let us find out what the Most High is doing. Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. What is He doing? All right, this is Jeremiah. Let's go to Jeremiah. We'll close up. Jeremiah 51. Okay. And let's start at about, let's see. $27. Okay, and let's read this header here. Severe judgment against who? Babylon. Is that ancient Babylon? Is that Iraq? No. This is talking about America. Severe judgment against America. Okay. In the spirit. Babylon the Great. Now, Babylon's punishment. America. All right. We'll just jump down to 28. Read it and we'll be done. Prepare against her. This is God. All right. This is God's purpose. Prepare against her the nations with the kings of the Medes. Who are the nations with the kings of the Medes? The captains thereof, and all the rulers thereof, and all the land of his dominion. That's talking about the old Soviet Union again. Prepare against who? Who's her? Babylon. This is the Most High putting hooks in her, in their jaws. Who? The Russians. Okay, so all of that destabilization, even the Ukraine, guess what? Ukraine is going to be right back with Russia too. Right? Prepare against her. Against who? America, who's over there in land that you're so far away from home. the nations with the kings of the Medes, the captains thereof, and all the rulers thereof, and all the land of his dominion. That's the Soviet Union. Hey, they got ties that go way back. Yeah, they're a little mad at each other right now, but guess what? This is Proverbs 21, right? 21. Haven't got this in a while. 21 and 1. The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord. Okay, what does that mean? Heart is your mind. It's the Hebrew word lob. The king's mind is in the hand of Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, God. Okay. As the rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will. Okay, so you're under supreme mind control here, right? And you can't, your will is not your own, is it? Or is it? Good news. The Lord, Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, controls the mind of a king. Who's the king? Vladimir Putin. Volodymyr Zelensky. Right now, Zelensky is being controlled by the West right now. But guess what? Who's in control of everyone? Who's in control of the king of Babylon? Who is Joe Brandon right now? Okay, and Brandon ain't running anything. Brandon's doing what the hell he's being told to do. Okay, the people that are above Brandon are controlling him, but who is controlling everyone? All right, the unseen king, right? Like Lord Rothschild or whoever, right? The Lord controls the mind. What? Say that again. Mind control or supreme being, right? Supreme mind control, not MK Ultra, MK Supreme. All right? So, we go back here. 51 and 27. Prepare against 28. Jeremiah 51 and 28. Prepare against her the nations with the kings. What? The Lord controls the mind of a king. Kings of the me. So they're under supreme mind, the captains thereof, and all the rulers, the kings thereof, and all the land of his dominion. So they're going to form up. Okay, they're going to do what the Most High is telling them to do. What is that? They're going to come together against her. Who's her? Babylon, America. What is America doing over there? Again, that would be like the whole Soviet Union getting ready to invade the United States on the border of Mexico that has no wall. All right, so that's what we're looking at right here. Go back and watch the rest of this if you want, the rest of the story. But I mean, all we got to do is go to the scriptures and find out what's happening. And here's what's happening. Let's get this one. We'll close. Oh, it's getting hot in the kitchen. Revelation 11 and 14. The second woe is past, and behold, the third world war cometh quickly. Second World War is past, and behold, the third world war cometh quickly. That's what we're watching. All right. So with that, we hope that the elect were edified. Your brothers and few sisters, with that, shalom.